I hope the jockeys looked after your money at Cheltenham this week. Doing that job on the football side of things, we have the usual panel of experts and tipsters, and two footballers who may be jockey-sized, but who prove themselves head and shoulders above their peers. Tony Cottee's in the pub, and we'll also be hearing from Gianfranco Zola. An awful lot to pack in this week, so let's crack on with a first look at the fixtures. Everton looked to rescue their season after the cup defeat to Wigan, while visitors Man City chased the 12-point dream. Just 3 points would mean so much to Villa and QPR fans in the relegation battle of the weekend. Swansea, winners over Arsenal at the Emirates, look to do the same at the Liberty Stadium. Reading go to United without a manager and, to be fair, without much hope of a result. While our game of the weekend is Chelsea against West Ham, hence the invites to Messrs Cottee and Zola. Well, we're not at Cheltenham, but we're wearing the Cheltenham gear in deference to that marvellous festival, and a marvellous festival of football coming up this weekend. Marvellous Radio 2 link that was. Tony, how do you think Villa and QPR will get on?
Well, I think it's going to be one of those games, Matt. We talk about six-pointers, and I was talking about it last week when Villa were playing Reading. It's absolutely massive because it could be the difference between staying up or going down between the two sides. I saw Villa at Reading and I thought they got away with it. They're so poor at the back, Villa, but they have got a threat up front in Benteke, Agbonlahor and Vyman. They are three really good players up front, so they always look like they're going to score, yet concede as well. Queen's Park Rangers, great win, 2 on a spin, first time they've done it for ages. Still not convinced. I think that's the pair of us on that one. I can't go any other way than a draw. And I think it'll be a score draw as well.
Well, I'm going to go for QPR. I've been against Villa all season. I'm not going to change now. I'm not mad on QPR, as you know, either, but at least now they've got a goal in them with Remy. And that, to me, is the deciding factor in that one, along with the price. You can get around 12 to 5. I'm going to go for QPR to cause what should be a real six-pointer, as Tony said.
Just as an aside, we were talking earlier on off-air about that film with Marianne Faithfull, Girl on a Motorcycle. Yes. Did that inspire your wardrobe choice today?
Well, I want to know what inspired yours, more importantly.
Cheltenham, mate. I've got the tip for and everything outside.
Cheltenham on the bike.
There you go.
Not on that one, I wouldn't go. Southampton against Liverpool, he said, moving on.
Well, I think this is set up for Liverpool. I mean, I like Alan to go on about Liverpool and wax lyrical about them. I mean, they've gone really well at the moment, and there's no doubt about it, but they're not beating really good sides other than Spurs, and I thought Spurs were the better side of the two when they beat them. But Southampton play such an open game, and Pochettino wants to play like that with centre-back splitting and trying to get the ball out from the back. It does leave them vulnerable, and as we said against Wigan the other week when Suarez ran riot, I can see him running riot in this game as well, and maybe going on to get this Footballer of the Year award that he's coveting, or his teammates are coveting for him, because he's been special this season. It's a Liverpool win for me.
Well, Tony was telling me about a singer called Dean Friedman, and I'd never heard of him either, Matt, but he had a line in a song which said, "We're not as smart as we'd like to think we are." And that applies to Liverpool, I'm afraid. I mean, yes, they beaten teams, poor teams. They were poor against, or they weren't the best last week against Spurs. I can't be backing Liverpool at odds-on away from home. I simply can't. Yes, they're the most likely winners, but they've won 4 out of 14 away from home. That's not odds-on form, as it were. This is a leave-alone game. I'd love to see Liverpool win, but the price is wrong.
I was just going to say, I've got my tickets for Stoke versus West Brom, and you try keeping me away from that one.
Well, I'll leave you a whole stand full of tickets on the gate. No, it's a bit disrespectful to the managers. I mean, West Brom are, you know, again getting back on track and in line for a really good season under what's proving to be his first task as a manager, a really good one for Clarkey. He's had his problems. He had the odd and wingy problems in the transfer window. He had other problems, but Lukaku's come to the fore for him, and why Chelsea haven't dragged him back, I don't know, because the kid's going to be a really good player. I can't fancy him away at Stoke though, Matt. I always go with Stoke on home form. I know the prices are not good, Al, and you'll give us more on the prices, but I have to say, just purely as a result, a Stoke home win.
Well, just up the road from Stoke is Uttoxeter Races, where we've got the Midlands Grand National. That'll be an edifying slog on Saturday, and so will this game. Won't be a great game. 6 to 4 Stoke, couldn't be backing them. Perhaps a bit of value in West Brom, but Tony's made a decent case, why not? I think it's a leave-alone game, to be blunt.
Skipping over that one, we gave it more than it's worth, in my humble opinion. Swansea against Arsenal. What a poignant match this will be for Arsene, because after that vain defeat in midweek, and everything's gone now. I mean, that's it. The trophy is bare, possibly for more than a year.
Yeah, defeat, but a victory, and I think it's kind of helped them now, Matt, because it was important they didn't go out of the tournament with a whimper. But this is a good game of football. Swansea, Arsenal. It was a great game earlier on in the season. Swansea won at the Emirates, and Michu was in great form. It's a score draw for me. I think both teams will score, and I'll go for the draw just as a result. And you'll.
Well, I'm going for the Swansea winning this because I think you look at the Swansea team, I think Vaughan, Williams, de Guzman, Michu, they'd get in this Arsenal team, and yet you're getting 12-5 on Swansea for a home win. Forget this nonsense that they've won the League Cup and the form will tail off. That's just nonsense. Yes, it happened with Birmingham, it happened with Liverpool because both those teams were poor. I think the prices here, Swansea, are a real good bet this weekend. And
an early contender, Matt, for Manager of the Year as well, from his contemporaries voting for him. They've had a little poll recently, and there's a little aside here, Matt, because when I was working at West Ham and sort of doing a little bit of advising thing with the board, he was one of the 6 in line for the job when Zola got it, but he went to Spartak Moscow, Laudrup, so what might have been for us?
That is the story of our lives. That would be the club crest. OK, it's time to meet somebody who's been known in the past for being a little forward. That's because he is a little forward. Well, now it's time to meet our special guest, and as an independent, unbiased football journalist, it's a thrill to see Tony Cottee in the bar here. Tony, of course, you played for West Ham, and it doesn't really matter about the rest, does it?
Not really, Matt. No, I suppose. But as a West Ham fan and growing up as a supporting the club and everything, it was a great thrill for me to play for West Ham. Played for Everton and Leicester. They was my 2 other main clubs, and a few others that we probably shouldn't mention. But no, West Ham's my team. And
England, of course. I shouldn't do you down. Now, I first met you, I think, with John Motson. I was a producer at the BBC, and I was sent along to do an interview between you and John Motson. I remember John Motson seeming happier than he'd ever seemed when he discovered that you kept a scrapbook of every goal you'd ever scored.
I've got to say it's my dad's fault. I mean, he started doing it when I was 6, 7 years of age, and I was just fascinated with statistics, really, and scoring goals and describing how the goal was scored. So, but what's great for me is pretty much from the age of 7, I've got a record of every goal I scored at every level of football. So I could bore you with it if you want. I can bring him in, and there's about 1,000 goals we can talk through if you want. So.
Motson's there in a sheepskin coat, hammering to get in. Just skim through your memories of West Ham. There must be a million of them.
Yeah, people always say, the most often asked question, what's your favourite goal? And I always say my first goal, believe it or not, because, like I say, I scored a lot of goals after that. But I think as a 17-year-old mad West Ham fan, to be given a chance to play in the first team was good enough as it was, and then to play at home to Spurs, beat Spurs 3-0 on my debut, and I scored the first goal, and it was a dream come true. I mean, it was a simple header in the end, about 3 yards out, like most of my goals, I might add, Matt, but it was a great thrill for me, and that was a very, very special goal.
You and Frank McAvenny, you were a partnership on the pitch, and a devastating partnership, but I mean, you're no vicar, but it must have been hard work keeping up with him off the pitch.
Chalk and cheese springs to mind, Matt. I think we got on really well on the pitch. The 54 goals in that season, the one season together, just me and Frank, not the rest of the players. So it was a wonderful partnership, the best partnership I had as a professional. But off the field, I mean, I was sort of pretty much a family man, trying to go home to the girlfriend at the time, having family dinners, and of course Frank was going out clubbing it and seeing every page free bird that was about. So it worked for both of us, and I look back now, I think perhaps I should have gone out with Frank a bit more.
He's still doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at Everton now and their position in the league, which is incredible. People keep going on about the job that Moyes has done. Did you feel a certain amount of pride that you were involved in that at one time?
What, playing at Everton, you mean? Yeah, I mean, I had 6 years at Everton. People don't realise how many years I actually had at the club. People say, oh, yeah, of course you had a season or two at Everton. It was actually 6 years. I scored 99 goals for the club, never got the 100th goal, which is one big disappointment. I never won anything at the club. You can pretty much sum up my Everton career, Matt, because they won the league in '87. I joined in '88. I was there for 6 years. They won absolutely nothing. I left in '94, and they won the FA Cup in '95. It was the right club, just at the wrong time for me. But a wonderful, wonderful club, and I'm pleased they're having a good season.
And your England career, that must have made a huge impact on you and your family as well.
It did, yeah, and I was particularly pleased with my dad, because I've already mentioned he helped me with the scrapbooks, and he had a huge input into my career. And when I made my debut, albeit losing in Sweden, we lost 1-0, but I gave my shirt to my dad, and he was really pleased. It was there you go, Dad, thanks for all your help. But in general, my England career was a bit of a disappointment, I think. I look back now, and the one real regret in my football career is I never scored for England. I got 7 caps, but being the stato that I am, I added up the minutes I played on the pitch. It was 171 minutes, which is not even 2 games of football. So, although people say, "Oh yeah, 7 caps and he never scored," I never played a full game for England. But there was 2 reasons for that. One was called Gary Lineker, and one was called Peter Beardsley, and they was 2 special players at the time that were playing in front of me. And it made it hard for me to get into the England team.
But you shouldn't be too hard on yourself, because you're under contract at Sky, which is the holy grail for many ex-footballers, and you cracked it, and you're one of their regulars, and you enjoy yourself.
What I like about it is the variation. I mean, I get in the studio probably 2-3 times a month, and also I go on the road. Like this coming weekend, I'm at Hull, Nottingham Forest, so a little bit of travelling for me, bearing in mind I live in Essex. But you know, I travel up to the games, I enjoy the games. And then on Sunday I'll be at Chelsea, West Ham, not working in any shape or form, but just going on to cheer my team, because I'm back to being a West Ham fan now.
Yeah, we're going to look ahead to that in your company a little later on, and we'll get your prediction as well, which I understand
they're not very good, Matt. No.
No, I was going to say they're rubbish.
Yeah, they are.
Thanks very much. Yes, we will be looking ahead to Chelsea, West Ham, and a lot more besides in part 2. Welcome back to part 2 of Off the Bar, and a chance to look to the second half of the fixtures in the company somebody who will add something, basically. Tony Cottee joins us for this particular panel. So, Tony, I'll throw you straight in. One of your former sides, Everton, up against Manchester City. How do you see it going?
Big game for them, Matt. They've done really well this year, Everton, but a disastrous result last week against Wigan in the FA Cup. So they've got to bounce back, but it's going to be a tough game against Man City. Man City need to win as well. So. I can see a draw here, Matt. I think they'll cancel each other out, and I'll settle for that as an ex-Evertonian.
Any possibility of a tailspin here, do you think, for Everton?
I don't think so. I think Moisey will get a reaction from the Wigan defeat. I think the draw again is good value. Everton, good at home, lost just 1, but they do tend to concede, so I fancy both teams to score. And of course, we've got the new Pope, haven't we? The 3 Argentinians at Man City celebrating. Congratulations
on being the first to mention that, by the way. Yeah. You were unhappy not to get the nod from the Vatican, I understand.
Pip? Yeah, I just missed out on that one, actually, Matt. No, I'm going to go for a Man City away win on this one. I think terrible result for Everton last week. I mean, he must have put all the eggs in one basket, Moyes. He thought he was going to probably win this FA Cup. He had a great chance. Man City, I think, still the 12-point gap, and Tevez, I think, is going to get better and better as the season goes on. Probably, you know, because he's going to be driven to games now. Now he's on the ban and everything, so he's going to be a little bit more chilled out when he gets to games. But for me, Man City away win.
They got a great big poster of him, hadn't they, in Manchester, or didn't they have? I mean, how do you think you were going to get away with it? Never mind. United against Reading. Now, I could do this on my own, I reckon, this prediction.
Well, it's a good one for us, because it's a friend of ours who used to play for West Ham when he was a kid there. He was our apprentice who used to clean our boots. Eamon Dolan has taken over as temporary manager, so he's got it for a couple of games. Unfortunately, they're playing Man United and Arsenal, and Tony was there when I passed the message on to him on his phone to take his calculator.
One as usual.
Take his calculator to the next couple of games, because he's going to need them. But you can't see Reading getting anything at Man United. And poor old Eamon, he's going to go back to the academy again, where he's done a great job of all the youngsters coming through, and that's where he's better off, because I don't think Reading have got a chance with this one. Cool.
What hope for Eamon?
Well, none, to be blunt. I mean, but, you know, trying to find a bit of value. We can't be tipping up Man U at 7-1. Now, in the Cup the other week, we backed both teams to score, Man United to win, and that's the one again for me. Reading do have something of a threat up front. We saw it at Everton again the other week. That's the bet for me. It's around about 9-4, both to score, Man U to win.
Reading are in massive trouble, massive trouble. All for what they've done at Brian McDermott. I think they should have given him to the end of the season. I never understand why you sack a manager and then you haven't got a replacement. Good luck to Eamon. I think he's going to need it at the weekend. Can't see anything other than a home win, Matt.
Sunderland against Norwich City. Now, Sunderland didn't go to Cheltenham because their manager wouldn't let them. What effect will that have on their game?
Well, I wouldn't imagine he'd let them go anywhere after last week against Queen's Park Rangers, because that really has put them in the mire. This is a must-win game, I would say, for Sunderland, because they've got some other fixtures coming up which are difficult. This is a must-win game. I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think they'll do it as well. They do have, you know, 1 or 2 decent strikers now. They've got Graham on board, although it hasn't really worked yet. I think they'll win this. Norwich have been in woeful form of late. They've drawn too many games. It's a game both need to win, but I think Sunderland will win, but not a great price.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be an inspiring speech from Martin. I had 3 years working under him. He's a fantastic manager. They've not had a particularly good season, but they've got some real quality in the sort of the midfield and forward positions, and Norwich aren't the best away from home, so I think it'll be a Sunderland home win.
OK, Spurs, Fulham. I reckon Spurs will be favourites for this one.
Yeah, I reckon you're right, but you wouldn't be backing them at 4-9, Matt. But I think Spurs were unlucky last week against Liverpool. They played well, but made poor mistakes at the wrong time in the game, and that allowed Liverpool back into it for an unlikely win. Can't see anything more than a Spurs win.
Neither can I, but they've got the trip as well. They've been to Italy against Inter. I couldn't be backing them at 4-9. I think there's better bets to be had. But, you know, as Tony said, you can't back Fulham away from home either. So, yes, Spurs will win, but not at 4-9 for me.
Yeah, and I reckon AVB is another candidate for manager of the season, because as you know, he's a great friend of mine.
Your mate.
Yes, not yours. Wigan against Newcastle.
This is a real dodgy game, isn't it? When you look at it, he's saying no, but Wigan, you just don't know what they're going to do, do you? I mean, Everton last week, they beat them 3-0, but they really could have had more goals as well. I thought they played so well, and it's a difficult game. And Newcastle ain't playing bad at the moment. They're playing some pretty good stuff, and that midfield, Sissoko, Cabaye and Tiote is a really good three in there. Difficult game. I'm going to have to go draw.
You see, I'm not getting carried away by that victory over Everton. Everton were too poor to be believed. It's like you see with a racehorse sometimes. You discount its last poor run. Wigan, I can't have them. I quite like Newcastle at the moment. They're improving. They have this habit of getting late goals. I think they're a price for this one. You can get 11-5. I think they're a decent price.
OK, our game of the weekend, Chelsea against West Ham. Tony, how do you see this one going?
I'm going to the game, Matt. Looking forward to it. Be supporting my team, West Ham, obviously, but I'm worried. And I'm not just worried because we're playing Chelsea, but I've seen West Ham 6 times this year and I haven't won once yet. So I really I shouldn't go to the game, but I'm going to be with the old prawn sandwich brigade. I'll be up there in the stand cheering the boys on. But if we're lucky, we might nick a 0-0 draw. I don't know what the odds are on that, but you know, perhaps there's a chance of that.
I'm going with the ham sandwich brigade. I'm in the media room. I'll be commentating on this one. I'm really looking forward to the game. Light tone. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle for West Ham this season, and Fulham. They've got to pick up the points where they can. Can't see them getting in any here, though.
Well, I remember sitting here around Christmas and saying West Ham are one of the teams who could get dragged into the relegation scrap. It's not quite that bad, but I can't be having them at Chelsea. I was impressed with Chelsea last week against Man U, particularly in the second half, and I think they can carry that forward. But again, 11-4 on's much too short. There's better bets, and we'll run through them later, but Chelsea all day long.
Thanks, mate. Woe and Alan Bentley. Well, it's time to hear now from somebody who has a little to do with both West Ham and Chelsea. He was voted Chelsea's best player of all time. He managed West Ham, of course, and now he's doing pretty well with Watford. Gianfranco Zola.
Now, explain to me what goes on at Watford with the new players and the loan players and what I don't know much about football. You do, so tell me the system.
Well, the system is that we are owned by the same property, by a property that owns at the same time other two teams in two other different countries, and the reason why we loan many players is because we didn't know whether we wanted to keep them for long. So we loaned them to see how they were. I think the club has been bought 1 week before the beginning of the season. So we got these players, and they were like on a trial. And we said that in first place, if they are good enough to stay with us and they want to stay, we're going to keep them. That's why we are signing the majority of them.
But a part of it must be the way they respect you. Now, they respect you because they've seen you play. They know how good you were as a player. That must be a part of it.
For the footballers, but that lasts only 1 week, Matt. You know, they trust you, they follow you, but 1 week, 2 weeks, and then after that they want to see what you can do for them, whether you are reliable, whether you can improve them, and that is something that has always been in my mind. That's why I kept working hard to make sure that I was giving them always something good for the team and for them as individuals, and that's the big satisfaction for me.
And here's the question you knew was coming, and here I go, and I can hear the answer. So you're one of the favourites to take the Chelsea job. What are your views on that?
Well, my views are very simple, Matt. It's just right now I'm not really thinking of that at all. And I can honestly, you have to believe me, I'm not really thinking of that very much. It's whatever happens for me in the future, I know that it goes through this experience. If I do well, then many things can happen to me. But it is essential for me to keep the mind on this, and I know that my future can be bright if I do well for this club, and they deserve that because they've been good. They gave me trust, and I enjoy what I'm doing for them, and so I want to repay them whatever is going to happen tomorrow, I don't know, and really I'm not interested right now.
Okay. One other very important question. Last time for this programme, Tony Gale, you accused of being too fat. Well, I'm afraid to report he is still too fat. Do you have any advice for him?
Yeah, well, I think I believe that I've already given the advice to go on a diet, but obviously he doesn't listen to me. I don't know. Maybe that you are closer to him, you are a friend. You should be, telling him something for that. It's, it's if it happens that we play golf next time together, I don't want to wait for him all the time that, to catch up. So I think he should follow the advices. Go on a diet.
Zola's doing a great job at Watford, don't you think, Gailey?
Doing a fantastic job, other than obviously seeing that I need to lose weight. I can't see that one. But no, he's doing a great job.
Brilliant. So we're going to have a little look at our tipping table. So as you can see, we've got Peter Reid, who's leading the table at the moment, followed closely by Ozzy Ardiles. So do you think you can do any better this week, Tony Cottee?
No, I don't. No. I must admit, I'm one of the worst tipsters ever. I've actually got my three bets here. I've got Queen's Park Rangers to win at Aston Villa. Okay. Just fancy. I think Harry's weaving his magic at the moment. I've got West Bromwich Albion to win at Stoke. Stoke recently lost at home to West Ham and they're not in good form. And I've got Wigan to win at home to Newcastle. So I don't know what that works out, Al, but it'll probably be the complete opposite of what I said, but that's my three bets.
22 to 1, TC.
22 to 1, I'll settle for that.
Thank you. What about your predictions this weekend, Al?
Well, I'm with Tone on the top, and I think QPR can win at Villa. Been against Villa all season, not going to change now, and QPR carrying a goal threat in Remy. Swansea against Arsenal. I like Swansea in this one. Don't like Arsenal at all at the moment. Swansea won 2-0 at the Emirates. They beat them in the League Cup. I think they can complete a treble over Arsenal this season. They're 12-5. And I'm going against Tony there. I think Newcastle can win at Wigan. Wigan's so inconsistent. Newcastle finds a bit of form. Newcastle for me. And that pays about 36 to 1 the treble.
Okay, brilliant. How about you this week?
Well, if Cheltenham's anything to go by, don't follow me and him. We've had an absolute nightmare. We couldn't pick one between us. Now I'm going Man City away to Everton. I think it's a decent price. Swansea to draw with Arsenal. I think that'd be a good game of football and both teams will score. And Stoke to beat West Brom at home. Not that I don't think Stoke are doing all that at the moment, but just at home, they need the result. It'll be ugly, but they'll win. And Alan's worked it all out for me because I didn't have a clue how to do it. 17 to 1.
Cheers, Tony. Okay, so it is comic relief, and I've got the red jacket, and
I've got the red.
Alan's got the red hair. And I've got a little something for you here. And there's a lovely red nose for you to do your bit for charity.
Well, thank goodness you put it on there. I wondered what you was going to do with it.
Matt's not here. He's already on the way to Cheltenham, so we're going to go outside and do some keepy uppies, guys. I won't put you through any more pain. Come on, let's go.